Hi, SquirrelTribe. So I was thinking earlier today, how long until it is impossible to own a home? And the reason I say that is for lots of different reasons, okay? There are so many apartments that are going up. There are so many townhomes that are going up and rental neighborhoods that are going up. And here where I live in Okaloosa County in the panhandle of Florida, I get on Zillow all the time and I look at stuff, right? And I see more and more houses that were for sale have now moved over to for rent because people are having such a hard time buying houses. And I got this DM. I don't really want to show it to you because the guy said I could talk about it, but he didn't. I don't want to show you the whole thing, but I got this DM over on Patreon from John. All right. And Kevin and I talked about it earlier on Kevin and Michelle, another channel, but I wanted to go into a little deeper discussion here because I think it's extremely important and things that people really need to think about in the long run when it comes to home ownership versus not home ownership, and not even from the sense of, how much it costs, but what the government and the powers that be are doing to us as either homeowners or renters and things like that, right? So John sends this email and he's talking about how where he lives in Oklahoma, he and his wife, their homeowner's insurance is dropping them because they have, what's the word he used? They have hazardous materials in their backyard, right? And so I'm reading this DM from him over on Patreon and I'm like, hazardous materials. And I'm literally thinking barrels of, gasoline and all different kinds of stuff that maybe an insurance company would consider hazardous materials. Y'all know what it is? Firewood. He has too much firewood in the back of his home. The problem here is the insurance company that he is with was saying that he doesn't have central heating and air in his home. And they're saying that the firewood in the backyard is considered hazardous material. And the fact that he does not have central heating and air is something that's against their policy now, right? So he's more like an off-grid, not really in a neighborhood, anything like that. And my first question obviously was, how do they know what's in your backyard? Well, same reason that State Farm in California knows what's in people's backyard, because they're flying drones over people's houses and dropping them, not dropping the drones, but dropping people from insurance based off what they see. If they see that your roof is too old and you haven't replaced it, or they see you've got 5 junk cars in your backyard, they see that you've got a swimming pool that you've emptied out, they are considering that bad. If you've got a garden growing, or heaven forbid you have your own chickens or anything else like that in your yard, these insurance companies are dropping people left and right for not adhering to rules, or just because they don't want to have to insure people that they consider safety risks, right? That's what they say. So when John sends his DM and he's talking about the fact that he's got his firewood in his backyard and his insurance company is telling him they're going to have to drop him because it's considered hazardous material, unless he adds in central heating and air into his home, right? Now, Kevin and I talked about it this morning in one way, but my brain was just going bonkers with it because my thought process is a little different than most people's, which if you've ever been here on SquirrelTribe before, you know how it works. My brain just ping pongs all over the place like a pinball machine. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. So when he's telling me, when I'm reading about what's going on, my first thought is they want you, because the insurance company is talking about how it's more affordable, or it's, how did they phrase it? Affordable and whatever else for them to ensure that everybody has the central heating and air, right? Well, it's not more affordable for John and his wife. It's more affordable for them to have the fireplace and the everything else, the stove, the heating stove, you know what I'm talking about, in the house that he's in burning the firewood than it is to have central heating and air installed and have to pay that bill every month. And that is the entire issue to me. It's not that the insurance company said they're going to drop him because he doesn't have this. It's because that is the push. They want us to be on electric everything. They don't want you to be self-sustainable. They don't want you to be able to heat your home with fire logs. They don't want you to be able to cook from a wood burning stove. They don't want you to have the ability to use propane or natural gas or anything else like that. They want everything electric so that they have the ability to shut your shit off at any whim that they have, right? So they can charge you more for heating or cooling your house during peak hours so that they can ensure that they have total control over everything. That's what it comes down to for me. So when I'm reading this DM from John over on Patreon, I'm like, are you serious right now? There's a lot of people that send me stuff over there. Sometimes they're like, hey, you can talk about this if you want. Sometimes it's more of a personal, please don't, but I want your advice or whatever. John said it's fine if we talk about it. So Kevin and I talked about it this morning. We're talking about it now. A little differently, like I said, because the way I look at these things is from the profit over people standpoint. And I know for a fact that people are not the top priority of insurance companies. They're not the top priority of the government. They are not the top priority of anything that involves money or making sure you fall into line with whatever it is that they are pushing or trying to mandate or however else you want to phrase that, right? So when they say that the insurance company says they're going to drop them, I see that more and more people are going to have that happen. If you happen to have, because we already know in New York City alone, or New York State, they have outlawed gas stoves unless you happen to be a commercial restaurant. They've outlawed them from 2025 and forward. So any new builds will not have gas lines anywhere in the buildings at all because they're deeming it a potential safety issue, right? Really, it's because they can't control what you and I can do in our homes if we have the ability to use gas, because they can't really, well, I guess they could turn it off, but there's other ways around it, right? Whereas with electricity, they can control everything. We already know the power grids cannot handle not even all of the Teslas and the Priuses and the whatever else electric vehicles are out there. They can't even handle if everybody who owned one charged them all at the same time, power grids would lose their ever loving mind. If every single apartment complex and business and home and everything else ran on electricity all at once, we would have power grid overflow. So then you end up with these rolling brownouts, these rolling blackouts. You have these surcharges for wanting to use your electricity during these certain times. When I look at the thought of homeownership right now, for me now, it is a daunting thought because I feel like they are doing everything in their power to dissuade people from owning homes because they don't want you to own anything. What is it? You will own nothing and be happy. My daughter, she's almost 15. We just re-signed a lease in our apartment complex for 2 more years. And she says to me, when can we get out of here? I want to be in a home. I want to go in a house. And I'm like, trust me, little girl. I fully understand. I would much rather us be in a house as well, so you have more freedom of space. But at the end of the day, when they triple your homeowner's insurance, when they triple your property tax, when something goes wrong and your insurance company won't cover it or they drop you because you need to fix something, when a hurricane comes through and there's issues, it's not feasible for us right now to have a home because I pay attention to and look at everything that's going on. In Florida, home ownership sounds like a horrible idea. That's just my opinion. It may be different in Nebraska or Idaho, Iowa, even Washington State, New York, New Jersey. But for me, in Florida, in the panhandle of Florida, owning a home seems like a horrible idea. Renting a home, sounds like a good idea, but at the same time, people can kick you out. If they don't pay their bills, even though you're paying them, they get foreclosed on. Now you're homeless. So for us, the apartment makes sense. But I feel like I am falling into where they want us to be. You know what I mean? Like, we are in an apartment of our own free will and own volition. But it feels like at the end of the day, this is where our governments want everybody. They want them under their thumb in an apartment complex, in a leased or rented townhome, in a rented home, not anything they can own, which is why it's so much easier to rent than it is to buy for a lot of people. The new hoops you have to jump through to buy a home, to be able to put down that 20% on a house that is extremely expensive these days, to be able to afford the insurance on everything, to be able to afford the heating and the cooling on everything, to even furnish a home right now is ridiculous. Apartments at least come with the washer, the dryer, the stove, the refrigerator, the dishwasher, and a wine cooler sometimes, right? But in a home, sometimes that's not the case. You have to do all these things on your own, and it makes it very daunting for a lot of people. But then when you throw in the fact that there are so many, this is what gets me, so many new neighborhoods going up with really nice houses, and you can't buy them. You can't lease them. You can only rent them. You can rent them for your entire life if you want, but you will never ever own it because they don't want us to own anything at the end of the day. The price of everything is going through the roof. Inflation is a bitch. I don't care what anybody says. The inflation numbers, CPI numbers, everything is wonky and it's all stupid because they don't take into consideration the things that cost the most and are really breaking Americans' bank accounts, right? But again, our country has plenty of money to send to Ukraine, to, house illegal immigrants, to send to Israel, to do all these different things. But here we are struggling, as a collective country, we are struggling daily with the cost of everything. Homeowners insurance on its own is awful, in my opinion. It's like health insurance. We talked about a couple days ago. It's like health insurance. Here I am paying $1,000 a month for me and my family for health insurance, and it's like that's $12,000 a year to be covered in case something goes wrong. The fact that we both have health issues, like my brain, what is it? Okay, we both have allergies. Jesus, I'm allergic to stuff, right? We both have things we're allergic to that could literally cause anaphylactic shock and death. We have insurance for those reasons, but it's like at the end of the day, that's $12,000 a year that I could have in my pocket. And if something went wrong, I'd throw $12,000 at it instead, And I feel the same thing for people who have homes. In order to get a loan for a home, you have to have homeowners insurance while you have a loan through the bank. And that insurance can double, triple, quadruple anytime they deem necessary. And you're up a creek. Like, you have to have it as long as you have a mortgage. The opposite option is to pay off your mortgage, but then there goes all your money. And if something happens, you have no cash left unless you're rolling in dough. The 1% don't generally have to worry about this stuff, right? But it is almost, I don't want to say almost impossible to get a home or to be a homeowner, but it's definitely getting harder for homeowners. And heaven forbid you are a retired homeowner on a fixed income, on Social Security, SSDI, any of that kind of stuff. And even if your house is paid off and you've been paying $1,200 a year for the past 10 years for homeowners insurance or property tax or whatever it is, property tax, and then suddenly your house that is paid off is worth 3 times what it was 10 years ago, and now you're supposed to pay $3,600 a year in property tax, but it is physically impossible for you on your fixed income, on your Social Security, whatever else. What options does that leave you? I mean, it doesn't mean that you can just get rid of your home, because then where do you go? And it's those kind of things that just drive me bonkers, because there's no good solution. If you're on Social Security, you can't make more than a certain amount of money to offset everything, because then you lose your Social Security. There's so many dumb things that our country does that doesn't make sense to me. Your Social Security is money you put in your entire life. What does it matter if you're still making money? They should still give you your money back that you earned and gave to them. That's just how I feel about it. I don't know all the ins and outs of Social Security, obviously. I have not collected it. I am not old enough to collect Social Security yet, but by the time I am old enough, it won't be there. There's that. But I still think it's really incredibly stupid the way we treat our senior citizens, number one, government-wise especially, and the way some people treat senior citizens, forgetting that they are the backbone to this country being built and how it is. But I digress, because that's what I do sometimes, and I apologize for that. There's a lot of people walking around, and y'all know my anxiety kicks off hardcore when people are around. That's why I'm like, when people are walking by, I'm like, here, don't look at me, whatever. But anyway, so the DM that John sent me about his homeowner's insurance being dropped because of the firewood, at least that said to me that his home is paid off. I thought that was a plus, at least, because I think, well, no, that doesn't mean that, because your homeowner's insurance can drop you even if you have a mortgage. It's not up to them to insure you. It's up to you to have insurance. And that's even more effed up if you think about it, because if one drops you, what happens if there's nobody left in your state or in your area that would take you on? What happens? I don't know the answer to that. Do y'all know the answer to that? I didn't think to look that up, because it just occurred to me that if you happen to have a mortgage and you have to have insurance, but your insurance company either leaves, like State Farm in California, or they drop you because of some bullshit reason, what happens? Does your bank then reach out and go, hey, listen, you don't have insurance. You have to pay us this lump sum now. Who can do that? How does that work? Oh, I have so many more questions. If y'all know, inform all of us in the comment section, please. Inform SquirrelTribe of exactly what that means, especially if you've ever been in that situation. My mom's homeowner's insurance, dropped her because the person that used to do her insurance for her died, unfortunately, and they didn't assign her a new agent to keep in touch with her. She didn't know this person had died. So then they're like, oh, well, nothing's happened in the last 2 years, so we're just going to drop you. And it's like, how is that how this works? Like, none of this makes sense. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. But then she had to figure out her roof, like maybe get it replaced, even though it's not an old roof. Then she was able to get the homeowner's insurance again, but now it costs even more than it used to. It's a scam. It's all a scam at the end of the day. Health insurance, homeowner's insurance, automotive insurance, whatever else there is, it's all a scam because it's you giving them your money and them doing whatever they want with your money and you never getting it back. And then anytime you have to use your insurance, them dinging you for it. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, John, if you're watching, if you want to leave any more stuff in the comments here so people understand, like, if you own your home or not, that'd be really cool. If not, it's fine. I understand. But that's it. If anybody else has something they want to talk about, whatever, DM me over on Patreon, let me know. We'll discuss it or try to find answers for you. Bring it to the tribe here and see if anybody else knows. Because to me, your insurance company dropping you because of firewood is not because of firewood. It's because at the end of the day, they all know that the government wants everybody under their thumb with electricity. With the whole point behind all this with John's DM was that they want, his insurance company said he has to have central heating and air in order to stay whatever. And he has to get rid of the firewood. But again, it's not because it's firewood. It's because he is self-reliant. It's because he is not under their thumb with the electric and, paying those no, what's the word? I don't know the word. I was going to say absorbent, but that sounds like a fake word that I just made up. And I think it's real, but it also sounds like absorb, like a sponge. That feels wrong. Those ridiculous prices and fees and whatever else. So that's all, Squirrel Tribe. Y'all, when I get a little worked up, my brain forgets how to brain. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It happens to the best of us, or some of us, maybe, possibly. I'll be back tomorrow with more. There's a lot more things I want to talk about that our government is doing. So hopefully, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Monday. I'll see you guys on Monday because tomorrow is family day. So thank you guys for being here with me for this. Again, thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I'd appreciate it. And if you, like I said, if there's anything I want to talk about, throw me a DM over on Patreon. And until Monday, y'all have a fabulous rest of your weekend. I love y'all immensely, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.